So I don't know if anyone was here for Robin Blackstone's talk, but she unfortunately has pneumonia. She is not able to be at the conference today. So it allows us to either end on time. We have a talk that we can give on leveraging, which I can do. And if you guys want to leave, we can. And I'll just talk through the slides really quick if you want to pull them up. But if you have to leave, do you guys have to leave in the back? So this will take 10 minutes to run through this so you can see some of the other things you can do while you're in practice. Can you pull up the last set of slides? And really, it's just about the fact that everything you heard here today, once you're successful at it, once you start figuring out how to manage your time, there are a lot of other things you can do with your experience beyond the world of your surgery. And it's going to leave you with a little bit of thought, and I'm sure some of you are into it, but you have to be entrepreneurial. You have to realize that if you don't come up with an idea first, and then try to execute it, that idea will never get done. So you have to dream big, and the first thing you can do is bounce your ideas off of friends, and they're all going to tell you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. It's exactly the motivation you need to go ahead and do it. But as a physician or as a surgeon, you're going to find a number of different avenues to put your talents into. The most common and the most easy for us is research and publications, right? That's what we're used to. But you can also invent things. You can also get patents. You can start companies. You can start software and new coding applications. You can come up with new devices and new techniques. And so there's a number of different ways that you can contribute to the larger picture outside of your domain of being a surgeon, but it all starts with an idea. And research, you all know how to do it, and if you don't, it'll happen over time. Publication in a traditional format is important because people can cite your work, and it justifies in a way that opinions can't some of the things that you've been doing. But you can also come up with an idea. This is my own patent that we came up with when I was a researcher at Mount Sinai, and it took 8 years to actually make it an official patent. But this was an overtube that you could do surgery through within the lumen of a bowel. And you know, back then when we came up with it, the word notes didn't exist and endoluminal suturing didn't exist. What we actually had patented was a tube that you could do these things through. We used it to actually make colorectal anastomoses in dogs. But we took it ahead and we've got this patent on it. And so as we watch the world of endoluminal bariatrics and endoluminal surgery grow, we're just waiting sort of to watch what the companies come out with, because we actually hold a patent on this technology that we filed in 2002. So the other thing you can do is start up companies. Inklinks was an idea that I had where I figured we had no way to figure out as doctors where all this startup technology was brewing. It's all out there, but unless you come to a meeting or you know somebody, you don't really understand how to get involved. And so I created, with two other co-founders who live in Israel, a code that allowed, it was really like a dating website, that allowed surgeons' personalities and business interests to be matched to founders' business interests and personalities. So basically, it was almost going to become like a Tinder, where you could look at the technology and swipe it away, or look at the personality of the founder and swipe it away. But it was a way to introduce us to this technology. And while I was trying to pitch this concept after we had a working code, which took 1.5 years, I met Tobin Arthur, who was running a company called AngelMD, and they acquired us. And AngelMD is actually, if you think about a Twitter platform and a marketplace for the trading of all this type of knowledge of the startup companies and doctors, where you can actually choose a technology and then follow them. But more than that, it's collaborative, so you can actually get involved on their panels for advisory boards. You can actually choose to invest in these companies, and they can start to come to you because you have experience with their tools. So they also need you back, and AngelMD is this marketplace for that, and it's really kind of brilliant, and it's just getting off the ground now as that concept, and we now work for them, and I'm also their regional medical director. So all this stuff is passion to do it, right? It doesn't just happen. You have to make opportunities for yourself. And you have to understand business, you have to understand the marketplace before any of that's going to happen. But it starts with that idea, right? And you have to firmly, firmly believe that that idea is going to be successful, because you're going to be challenged by every single person that you tell it to. Some of the times the challenges are because of envy, some of the times are because it actually is a bad idea. But you got to have unwavering belief in that idea. And then you need a team. Because believe it or not, you can't do any of this stuff alone. So you've got to bring people who believe in the idea with you, but they have to have a really robust network, and they have to have a really great personality, and they have to be really smart. But the team actually is going to be very, very important for any of these ideas to succeed. And then finally, you have to look at the marketplace. Okay, so once you've got your idea and you've got your team, if you don't have proof of a revenue stream, if you can't clearly articulate why this new idea, this new technology is going to make money, people are not going to invest in it. So you have to have idea, team, and market before you can take the next steps going forward. And I learned this all from Dave Kerpen. If you're going to take away one message from this lecture, it's how to make yourself more likable. And Dave Kerpen started a company called Likeable Social Media. It's now worth about $4 billion. He's at least a decade younger than me. This book became a New York Times bestseller. But I met with him a few times, and I met him throughout New York. Now we're friends. But what he taught me is that if you're going to succeed, you have to have these 11 principles at some point. And this is also what makes Dr. Roller's website likable and why people are starting to use it more. But you have to listen. And social media allows you to listen. So sometimes you're going to get a bad rating, and you're not going to like it. But sometimes that bad rating is true if you listen to it. And the best thing you can do with a website that's responsive is you can write back to that negative rating and say, I hear you. We definitely could have done better that time that you were waiting for an hour. And we've worked on our timing, and you're going to have a lower waiting point. Patients are smart. When they see that and they see that you responded, they're going to be like, okay, fine, he gets it. I'm going to still go back to him and see him. So listening is really the key thing here. Being able to tell a story, so just like you see Dr. Roller showing the before and the after, these are success stories. These are things that people can relate to. So storytelling, being authentic and transparent. Definitely, if you're going to embrace social media, don't lie. Don't say you've done 800 of this, because anyone can see through that. 800 is always ending 00, or 3,800, or 1,000 of these. Be realistic and transparent about your experience, because they'll see through it, and it'll come back to bite you if you're not. Being a team player, and you'll see also later on being grateful and being responsive. You are not alone in this game. You've got to give thanks in public to the people that are working with you. So if your receptionist improves, you want to put her on the website and say, you know, Joan got better. That makes that person feel better. It makes it transparent, and she gets better. But you got to incorporate your team in everything that you're doing and adapt to the feedback. Be willing to change up after that listening. We talked about passion. Surprise and delight is very interesting because you got to do something every now and then that just your team wasn't expecting. So, you know, every now and then come into the office to your practice and you buy them lunch, or you send them away for a weekend to a hotel. You just do something to give back to the team. They will respond better to you. But surprise them every now and then with something completely unique and different. Keep your messages simple, and then again, gratefulness. So that's what Dave Kerpen teaches businesses to do. All right, he teaches them to be responsive and listen on a website. So in the world of surgery, I realized very quickly that there's a number of things that we struggle with in societies that are ripe for disruption, including peer review in the publication process, including mentorship and education, including outcome tracking, and then marketing and dissemination. And when you look at the different social media sites out there, whether we like it or not, Facebook is still the dominant social media site. And so that's why you see so many people embracing it. People are afraid of it because they don't understand it. They think it's a way to talk to your high school friends. But in reality, that's exited. So if you look at Facebook data over the last 3 years, this is 2011 to 2014, there's been an exodus of the high school and the college people and an influx of the college graduates. And if you break that down by age group, you can find your old age category on here, you'll see that over the last 3 years, there's been 80% growth of 55 years and older using Facebook, and 40% growth of 35 to 54, which means the platform's getting used more professionally. It's something that falls into something called a user-generated content website. But think about it as a surgeon. When you start off in practice, you've got no experience. But year after year, your experience starts to grow, and you become more experienced. And what do you want to do with that experience? You want to share it. So you want to teach residents, you want to teach other attendings. They want to start to grow their experience and teach each other. So what happens is we're all starting to grow our experience, and if you connect us all online, what you get is this, visually, a giant network of experience. And if we can connect surgeons online like that, then we can tap into it at any given point. Now, the problem with big data like NSQIP and AHSQC which are trying to do that by comparing your outcomes, is that stuff takes time. So you come up with an idea in 2009, you then have to raise $2 million, put it all together, get it published. You don't start disseminating the information for 4 years. It's been 5 years from the concept to get it out there. But if you have a network that you can tap into that's free, global, and doesn't cost anything, where you're going to use it more. So you can come up with an idea on one day, and 5 days later, you've got the same message that you would with a randomized prospective trial, all done on social media. Where do you see this best? In the bariatric world, where Tom Rogala started a bariatric club that's grown to over 2,000 people from 63 different countries. So if someone came into my operating room 2 years ago, and they had this device, this Orbera intragastric balloon, and all they were told was that they should go to an ER if they pee blue. And when they came in, she goes, I peed blue, now what? And none of us knew. And we went to the internet, no one really knew what peed blue meant. But we were able to go to his social media site, type in the story, and get feedback from around the world on how to best manage this. And what did I want to do? I wanted to take her to the OR because this balloon burst, and the blue dye that was in there gets into the system, and you pee it out. And everyone said, no, don't take her to the OR. You're never going to get this out laparoscopically. It's bad. And she had a balloon placed because she doesn't want surgery in the first place. And then I said, well, I'll just use the endoscope and get it out. I said, no, you can't do that. It's going to get stuck in the esophagus if you don't have the right equipment. But we found out we were very safely able to put her on a plane back to Brazil. And the surgeon was on the site, and she was happy, and the patient got a better outcome. So what was best for patient was solved through a social media site. So again, tapping into this network is possible, but you got to create the network. And so what Tom did for the bariatric world, we decided we could do for the hernia world, so we decided to start a group of about 9 or 10 different hernia surgeons, because hernia is very all over the place. There's more ways of doing a hernia than there are surgeons. So about 2 years ago we started, and we just started to see the same kind of growth of members. Okay, it's 2.5 years out there now. We're over 1,200 members. The nice thing about our group is that it's all vetted. We don't just click enter, like you've got to wait and you've got to be vetted to get in. We're in 63 countries and growing. We're about to present this next week to the African Hernia Society, the Italian Hernia Society, the European Hernia Society, Asia-Pac, and it's really going to grow. And you have to understand what groups can do, because all these things are closed. So your public, your high school friends, they can't see this stuff. This dialogue is protected. And if you, the surgeon, make it HIPAA compliant when you put it up there, and get permission from your patient to put it up there and tell them what you're doing, you actually can help them and many other patients at the same time, which is exactly what HIPAA is about, globally helping patients. So this is actually a quality improvement initiative, these groups, if you set them up correctly and you put the right stakeholders in there. And not only that, if you think about what a group actually can do, besides talk about cases, the referral basis. So if you're active in a group of surgeons and they say to you, hey, is there any good hernia surgeon in New York City? Your name comes up, or Arkansas. And they start to see it because they don't know who the surgeons are. Jobs. If there's a job that you need, you can post your job in the site. These are all hernia surgeons who are always thinking about their next job. So suddenly you've got a network you can tap into of interested people. The site itself is getting used 30% more year to date. And one of the reasons we're doing that is the messages that we can post are getting cooler and cooler. Now we're able to basically link through live surgery, right? With Meerkat and Periscope and all these other technologies are allowing us to, for free, collaborate with people in the OR. And we're going to be able to use this on Facebook and just start teaching each other in real time. And this may not be applicable for your colleague next door, but for surgeons in Haiti, different parts of countries that don't have access, we're now going to be able to collaborate with them in real time also. This just shows the growth of the comments within our group and the responses to it, and it's just been steady. And what we also realized within our own little group is that we can actually study the content, the dialogue, and extract data from it. And when we started to do that, for instance, when the robotic movement broke out about 2.5 years ago, you're starting to hear about it now, but it really started 2.5 years ago, and it was like a Richter scale, where most of our comments were usually like 10 to 15, and then anytime the word robot was mentioned, we started seeing 100. And we're like, what's this about? So we said, let's throw a conference on this. And that's how we knew to throw a conference about it. And we did this about a month ago in New York, but we planned it a year ago because of the fact that we see this Richter scale of responses. And you can do this with products too. All right, so people talk about the products, they'll talk about ProGrip. And we can look at the number of positive, neutral, and negative things being said, and we can analyze that data, package it up, sell it back to industry. So all of a sudden, the doctors are taking back the marketing. And Facebook wants us to do this. Facebook has an app out there that allows you to analyze your group or your page's data You saw Dr. Roller talking about some of this. We can get that data back and package it on our own. So we're actually really happy about that because we can do other things with groups. So coming soon, we're actually incorporating the term IHC, and we're looking at acquiring different technologies that are out there that allow us to take that dialogue and give it back to patients and surgeons, but also give it to industry and also to Wall Street, who needs it to make decisions. So we're monopolizing on our experience as physicians as it grows, and to hand that back to the people who need it the most. And Facebook took notice of this. They did a story about it. They're bringing me back again to talk to some of their leadership about the concept and how they can embrace it. So it really is groundbreaking stuff. People just don't understand it because Facebook's got this reputation of just being a way to get in touch with your history. So anyhow, you guys are surgeons. I think I showed you you can do a lot more if you want to. You don't just have to operate, and you don't have to spend all of your efforts on marketing your practice. You can take your skill set and do other things with it. Grow your network, grow your talents. I believe that there's an entrepreneur in all of you. You just got to let it shine. But anyhow, thank you. That's how you leverage yourself outside.